in the regular split as well as in this series. Galio is gone. There's the one expectation of it taken away from Jiizuke. Where's the LeBlanc? Will it be taken away by Giants? If they do, that means Kalista would be available.
Oh, Kalista instead. Okay, now LeBlanc is a champion that you kind of can blind pick, but with how well Memento played in the previous game, and actually, I'm going to go further. With how well Memento's played the early games this series, I like the Jarvan lock-in once again.
I agree. I also think a second rotation LeBlanc is a potential pick here. Thresh, Xayah have been picked in by Giants. If you were to go LeBlanc here, it forces Giants to pick up their mid lane and actually give away the jungle matchup, because otherwise you just ban all the good matchups versus LeBlanc in phase 2.
I mean, we could see a very similar team comp to game 4 for the rest. Instead, gonna switch over to that Corki. What will Jiizuke run into it? I mean, that's both solo laners locked in now.
This is basically game 1 draft coming through. A little bit adjusted here with the Corki in the Jayce being drafted earlier on here. So what this does is this gives one solo lane matchup to Schalke's favor, because it means Giants now have to pick one and they'll get the other banned out. Now there is another option. If they just pick whatever like jungle for themselves, they could have looked to make 2 matchups good in their favor, but that Ekko is a matchup we have seen Jiizuke run a whole bunch of times, and now he's playing it up against the Corki.
What do you think of it into the Corki? I mean, he's 3-1 on the champion this summer. It has been kind of a pick. I think that he's run into Syndra, if I remember correctly.
He ran it into Syndra, he ran it into Orianna, and a Victor as well in the regular
So like
split.
control mages. Corki's not that.
Not typically that, but also a scaling. Now, I like it because Jiizuke personally is a good Ekko. I don't think the matchup favors Ekko. I think the laning phase will be difficult, and Ekko will pick up more from the opposite side of the map, where he's going to want to try and use the teleport to split push a little bit, and then try and create that side lane presence that we know Ekko can have.
All right, so let's see whether or not Jiizuke, how bullied he gets, and whether or not Memento will continue to camp that mid lane. He did exceptionally well in the previous game. Caitlyn and Cogmore, the bans from Giants. Gragas on the other side.
There goes the Poppy as well. So Giants still will counterpick top lane likely. Jungle, Maokai, if they want it here for Gilius. The Gragas has been what they've tended towards, and I think is more likely. It is banned, so it won't be picked up here. Maokai is one of the options. The Sejuani once or twice has come out from a couple of the teams, but
gonna stick with what he's played this series, I guess. And locks in that Maokai. So 80 carry for upset and support for Norskeren. I love the bait. I love the bait. I can see the Schalke players on stage, and Norskeren's actually looked over to Giants and given them a little bit of a wink. Everybody's having a good laugh here, as the last game in this upper bracket match, the promotion tournament, winner goes to LCS, and upset will lock in that Jhin.
Jhin for lane presence, plus that long-range team fighting. If Gilius can find his way onto Jhin, there's not a whole lot of options for Schalke to actually defend against that, but still, Giants aren't necessarily looking for the team fights at all times here. If they can get a catch, that would be great, but they've got options out in the side lane as well.
All right, options in the side lane. There's still options for the top lane. We've not seen Cho'Gath appear at all, and in game 5, with everything on the line, Ruin locks it in. Break down these team comps for me. What do you see on both sides?
So Giants will have pretty strong side laners, 1-3-1 if they want it to come through. We know they team fight a little bit more effectively, and that's where Gilius on this Maokai can provide that as an option. For Schalke, they've got a decent side lane set up for themselves. Jayce, Corki, very good at pushing down towers. You've got the Tahm Kench to bring people over to the side lanes and maybe look to gank an Ekko or a Cho'Gath. Both teams, they're going to play double TP setups here. I feel like the Xayah might give a little bit of a later game edge over to Giants, but it'll be matched by the Corki as well.
Yeah, really, really interesting. Quite different styles. The front line on the side of Giants with that Cho'Gath Maokai, as opposed to the more damage, maybe a little more pick and poke oriented with the Jhin Jayce combination. Let's see whose will come out on top. The early game in games 3 and 4 determined the victors. The team fights in games 1 and 2 determined the victors. And it's impossible to say who's performing better in which area because they're split.
Yeah.
Exactly even.
Both teams won both attempts on the respective playstyles. Game 5, journey to the LCS. One last game between Schalke and Giants. Winner takes all.
That journey is the journey back. This will be re-qualifying after Schalke failed to do so in the spring split, after Giants were relegated in the spring split. It's game 5, the Silvers all but scraped. And for the last time in this first BO5, we will see Schalke take on Giants. Now reminder, whoever loses this game will play the winner of Mysterious Vankies versus Ninjas of Pajamas. MM versus NIP will follow this series. And we'll have one more BO5 tomorrow starting at 5 o'clock Central European Summer Time to round out our 10-team EULCS for 2018.
10 teams and maybe 10 games today. Back-to-back best of 5s. We're halfway there after this game, so Memento finding another sapling in the bush. Back and forth go the junglers on this one, so it's almost poetic that Giants go towards a little bit more of a comfort pick in the middle lane when everything is up against them, when it's a best of 1. Oh, Memento.
Yeah, he's losing the damage trade.
But it's also because, so Gilius is trying to see anybody coming here, and that's why Schalke are disrupting here, is Gilius and Giants aren't placing a ward there yet, but they want to know where people are on the map as they come through. It defends any kind of entry from Schalke onto that topside jungle.
And whether or not that'll help out either of the solo laners remains to be seen. Thresh, you said, double teleports on both sides. And of course, different options available. I feel like Memento's had really great impact in the earlier games in Gilius. He's on the Jarvan, which unlocked Caedrel previously. Smittyj became self-unlocked when he played Jayce earlier this series. Smittyj, maybe this matchup, maybe this Jayce poke into Cho'Gath, or vice versa. If Ruins Cho'Gath can handle Smittyj, can handle how forward Smittyj has played. 44% is the aggregated time across the 4 previous games of how far forward in the lane on the map he's playing. And Smittyj is definitely one of the most aggressive on the map.
Very aggressive, especially when paired with Memento. Now, Memento is looking to get up to that top side, was spotted out by the ward. The important part is that is how far you spend across the halfway mark. If you were to draw an invisible line down the river, that's that forward percentage that we've seen. Now Memento has waited around in the top side Ruin. If they get his flash, this is how you shut down a Cho'Gath early on.
The flag and drag. Rupture falls a little short. Ruin's holding onto his flash, and wow, the gusto to pull that off.
Yeah, Ruin may get re-ganked though. He doesn't know that Memento is gone, actually assumes that he is still there. And as Memento shows, Ruin was vindicated in his assumption. But that is how you shut down a Cho. You gank him early, you gank him often.
I want to go back to that forward percentage, Stress, because in game 1, Smittyj spent 61% of the time forward, then 13%, 47-55. So a huge variance in that game 1 to game 2. Jiizuke's going to phase dive forward, gets the full proc on the Time Winder as well, but eats the trade on the way out. Something you see with these Echoes over and over.
Ooh, Jactroll is looking to set up the hook here. He's roamed up. If they can get this to connect.
He's got Ignite as well. Death Sentence. Wow, it connects. Caedrel, why didn't you flash? Dead. First blood to Giants.
The kill in mid lane, Jiizuke and Jactroll making it work. The Thresh, the Ekko, these picks that both are known for. Jactroll's the one that gets the first blood thanks to the Ignite. But look, Jiizuke, that's exactly what he wanted in this laning phase, wanted to get ahead. And that's a great start for Giants. The roam up pays dividends already.
Can Giants do what Schalke did in the previous game? The previous game, it was Caedrel's Assassin that got ganked for, that got unlocked and took over, and here's a replay of it starting.
Yeah, Jactroll level 2 walks into the lane, predicts where Caedrel's going behind the tower. Caedrel could have flashed it. I think he just thought he was out of range of the hook. Ends up dying.
Well, he didn't use his flash. That means he can flash next time.
I don't know whether that is quite the win for Caedrel there, since he did end up dying. So Caedrel could have flashed it easily, chose not to by the looks of things. And Giants now have a great start to this game in the middle lane. Still down in CS, but Jiizuke's going to just keep taking these trades. Yeah. Look.
It is standard, though. Once the Ekko's used his combo, that window of reprise or counter-attack maybe is a better word.
But here comes another challenger into the middle lane. This is the other way of Gilius getting into the lane. Not close enough without walking through a ward, though, so will be spotted out. Now Memento has the opportunity to react.
All right, so Jactroll helping out that mid lane. Gilius is now moving into the jungle. He didn't contest the vision anyway. His trinket was on cooldown, instead placed 2 wards, and then instantly backs out. You can see a number of pings from Memento and Schalke, just kind of figuring out where Gilius is. Wow, that's very simple when he's right in front of you.
Yep, easy to read at that point. TP's used in the top lane. Schalke trying to just reaffirm as much control on the map as they can, pushing out with Caedrel in the middle lane, trying to get Jiizuke back under his tower.
Jiizuke! Caedrel's going to take a couple shots, but Jiizuke flashes it.
Caedrel could have flashed after him, but he knew he'd die if he did, because he'd be under tower. So Jiizuke with the read. Also known as Jacuzzi, by the way, by some of the casters in the community. And I give to you, once he hits level 6, the hot tub time machine.
Oh, that is so sad. I hope you did not prepare that one.
Definitely didn't run it by Medic a couple of hours ago.
Okay, all right.
We knew he was going to pick Ekko. It's one of his favorite champions, the Italian god.
Can you explain why he's called Jacuzzi?
I don't. I think it's actually more of a meme. Because Jiizuke, people think it kind of rhymes.
Okay.
I don't think it's something he calls himself, as far as I'm aware.
Fair enough. It got a chuckle. It worked for me, nevertheless. The hot tub time machine now is level 6, has that chrono break available to him.
You don't have to refer it.
No, I do like it, though. I really do like it. I'm waiting to see what happens. I got a question for you about the two teams and the sort of their mindsets, because I have not watched the regular season of Challenger a lot. Definitely tuned in for playoffs and promo. But now we're in Game 5. I've seen Schalke in a Game 5. I've seen them show up and not crack under the pressure this split.
Right.
Now that Giants is in that position, and Schalke, how do you think their mindsets are and the teams, coming into this high-pressure match?
I think that's such an interesting discussion because it's not a black and white issue, right? Because you've got 5 players that will handle it differently. And that's where we look towards players like Gilius to kind of steady teams, which he's become a more well-rounded player. And I think that's something that the Giants are going to have to rely on now, is Gilius actually being a bit more of a leader in the team. Yes, Jiizuke was on Giants Only the Brave, and Minitroupax has had experience in local scenes, playing even in high-stakes matchups. But when LCS is on the line, this is where your players like Gilius, Memento, they have to be headstrong. Yeah. They've been here, they've done it. And that's why I think Schalke will have the edge. You're right, in Game 5. Smittyj's been there as well. And Schalke looked the more composed team whenever I watch them. Even when dealt a bad hand, they still stay composed.
And that's something we've even seen today, with Schalke being crushed in several games. Going backstage, very stern, very serious. The Giants players, a little bit more celebratory, a little bit more, at least from visualization, emotional. And now we're approaching 8.5 minutes. Let's see the roam. Jump forward from the phase dive. Time Winder won't find its target, but there's a lot of support. Jiizuke's going to use that chrono break backwards. No flash available. Keep your eyes on his cooldowns. Got points in the phase dive as Giants now have reinforcements coming up from the river. Jactroll and Gilius. Lantern will buy some time. And no summoners traded, only ultimates.
We're going back a little bit more to a slower pace when it comes to the kill numbers. We've had a couple of engages not quite stick from both teams. And that, to some sense, for Schalke will be in their benefit, where they're looking to scale up. But they're actually losing the CS race in 2 lanes, the bottom lane and the mid lane right now, which does give Giants a few more options. Of course, Jiizuke, we're going to see him start to branch out, look towards other lanes. Has to, of course, get the vision control first.
Yeah.
But if he can find himself bottom lane, drop that parallel convergence, get a double stun, that opens up so much for Minitroupax and Jactroll.
So valuable, because if Norskeren goes for the Devour, very easy to get double stun, because it's a 2-for-1. Let's see whether or not Jiizuke will make that play. His teleport is still on cooldown, and it's actually upset in Norskeren that are behind in CS, -10. We've not talked about the duo lanes this game. They've spent a lot of time looking at the matchup between Minitroupax and Upset. What do you make of this opening phase and now some additional eyes towards this bottom lane?
Well,
Memento is hovering.
The thing is, Upset picks the Jhin. He's a kind of meant to be a lane-dominant champion, meant to be able to hold his own. For Upset, he's actually struggling because of the Tahm Kench alongside him. It's not that big of a problem, but obviously defensive support up against the Thresh neutralizes a lot of the aggressive play out of Jhin, where you want to move forward, use that fourth hit to actually put out a lot of damage. And Minitroupax is staying quite far back in the lane at the same time, so Upset isn't able to bully around as much as he would like.
Yeah, not going to get in the face of Minitroupax. Let's see what happens with Gilius. He's making his way down bottom, but there's a lot of vision in the river, loads of wards on the Giant side and the Schalke side, so information aplenty. Thank you, observers, for the zoom out. While we were chatting about that, Caedrel's gone for the early Hex Drinker. It's a Cutlass for Smittyj up in the top lane, so making his way towards that Blade of the Ruined King. A couple of different builds you can go for on the Jayce, and Jiizuke's already completed his Proto Belt, so more diving, more in-your-faceness available.
Yeah, of course, a lot of the times we've seen Ekko in the meta over the last year, maybe even a little before that, was the tank Ekko that we saw a whole bunch of. Got adjustments to his kit, put more damage into his kit. Recently even had the cooldown on his E reduced, so back to being an assassin with AP. That's what you're going to build. You can see Jiizuke for the mobility builds the Proto Belt on top. It means between Phase Dive, the follow-up auto, and the Proto Belt, plus the ult, very difficult to lock down. Takes over a long lane.
And of course he can take over this game. I mean, Smittyj, squishy on Jayce. Caedrel, squishy-ish on Corki. Hex Drinker will help a little. Upset, low mobility, squishy as well. So Jiizuke's going to have targets aplenty. And with a Cho'Gath and Maokai for frontline, a little bit of self-peel in Minitroupax, I feel like there's a lot of weight on his shoulders to shut down one of these carries as the game progresses and we get deeper into it.
And that's one thing that we have seen out of Ekko's in the past, is when playing up against Jhin, almost like a bard, you just set the parallel convergence at Jin's feet and he has to cancel his ultimate. If he ults first, of course, it's a little bit of a rock, paper, scissors on that moment, but Jiizuke will be looking for flanks when he can get that opportunity. We just got a glimpse of Ruin stacking up his feast as much as he can. Currently at 5 stacks right now.
Not been ganked, not been pressured,
Nope.
really. Schalke still down in gold, 1,000. Thanks to those CS advantages that Giants have accrued and the fact that First Blood is with Giants.
Oh, he's going in.
He has gone in. Manages to miss a lot
Caedrel's
of the
out of
damage.
mana.
Chrono Break comes back out. The Flanton into the Flay. Death Sentence doesn't connect though. Damage back and forth. Memento's Cataclysm available. Ignite not going to kill Caedrel. And Giant able to escape. Memento's flashed forward. Cataclysm comes down. Abyssal Voyage is available. Jactroll goes down. Schalke are on the board. Now Gilius is tagged up by the Deadly Flourish. Norskeren's hungry, but he can't get the Devour. And Giants lose one.
Oh, it looked like Jactroll hooked a minion that was right underneath his character model. I'm sure we'll get it again as we see the fight, but if that hook had landed, that would have been a clean kill and out for Giants. But Schalke able to punish the aggressive play that goes a little wide from Giants. I want to see it again just to catch out, because look, Jiizuke takes a lot of damage on the back trade. Trades his damage out as well. Flay into the hook on the minion that was just barely moving in his range. And that would have been such a quick kill. Swift and efficient, but then Giants caught in the Cataclysm. Not even the Flay in the box could keep Jactroll alive. He was stuck inside there. And that means Schalke, as you said, on the board with a kill here. And remember, we're in a golden goal scenario, Trevor. A win in this game puts you into the LCS.
Oh, that's exactly what both of these teams want. They've evened it out at 13.5 minutes, but Stress, we always ask fans to vote at home and see who they think will win. 75% of the fans at home are voting in favor of Giants over Schalke 04. It's an even game all day long. We've watched these two teams trade blows. 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 2-2. And now even in this game, 1 kill apiece. The only thing that separates them really is that Cloud Drake.
Reading out football scores for a little while there.
Tried to.
The 3-2's the important one. On aggregate, it's okay. That last little bit.
The truth is, it's never going to get old.
What, football?
Yeah,
jokes
reading
about
football
Schalke?
scores for kills or series scores or something like that. It's just, it's too clean. All right, Ruin, by the way, got himself 6 stacks on Feast. There's no Feast available. Going to use those Feral Spikes. The Rupture comes down, here comes Gilius.
A dead
Smittyj, that was really well
no.
played. To the skies, puts the hammer down, and flashes to safety.
I was thinking he was a dead Jayce, but then no flash on Gilius meant no flash twisted advance. Well played by Smittyj to get out of that situation. Ruin's Feast is now available, so maybe next time he goes aggressive, he won't be quite so lucky. Well, at least Smittyj won't be quite so lucky. Giants, they're starting to get a lot of tools to continue to accrue a lead in this game. You can see a lot of pushing now up in the top side. Rift Herald will be answered in the middle lane, trying to really break Jiizuke's tower, but there's not going to be a lot of a minion wave behind this.
Yeah, feels like maybe a timeout play. Memento was able to pick that up a lot earlier in the game. I'm looking at the minimap, not a huge amount of tower pressure. That's the biggest chunk of damage you've seen. Maybe looking at top lane, Ruin's done a fairly good job of shoving Smittyj in, but they're even on CS, even in the mid lane. 7 CS difference of 15 minutes is really not a lot to speak of. And as it stands, these two teams are now going into the mid game on an even keel. So where is the pressure to make a play, Stress, on which team?
It's almost on Giants' assignment of lanes, where if they can get the right lane setup where Ruin is able to take the 1v1 against Smittyj, we did just see it happen. If that can maintain itself and then you put Ekko down in the bottom lane, as long as Giants' mid tower survives, they should be okay to just push the side lanes out, make plays themselves, try and cut in through the jungle, but you can see how much commotion around mid lane there is going to be here because Jiizuke gets locked down.
Jiizuke's gone. Chrono Break will buy some time. Cataclysm locks him in, and it's Caedrel that gets the kill. There was a lot used for that, and there's no minions to speak of. Giants, but just enough time to react. Didn't see quite how many control wards got thrown down in the mid lane. There was 2 or 3 of them, I think, trying to keep the vision up, but Schalke to get their second kill.
Jiizuke without his flash, though, was a bit of a sitting duck. We talked about his mobility, the phase dive, everything like that, but it wasn't enough when everybody from Schalke grouped in middle lane was able to catch him with a W from Jhin and then take him out. It doesn't result in the tower, and I think that's the significance here that Giants will still be okay with. Schalke do pick up a kill, slow down some of what Giants want to do, but without a Rift Herald, without the ability to kill Jiizuke on that exchange and his flash being up again soon, Schalke need to find another similar play in order to break that mid lane tower.
Oh, so tense. We're getting to 17 minutes in game. First item spikes picked up, but yeah, that's a 5-man stack.
Yep. W lands, Jiizuke optimistically trying to get to the lantern, but as you said, a lot of wards just put down on top of it, locked in Cataclysm.
I missed it the first time, but the Chrono Break killing all the minions,
yeah,
so useful for saving that tower.
Yeah, it's like intended.
Maybe intentional.
Or...
You know what? I'm going to say yes, okay? Jiizuke is an Ekko player. He knows what he's doing.
The Italian god, we can't doubt him.
To it. Yes, the hot tub time machine himself knows exactly how to keep that mid tower of his alive. We're getting closer to 20 minutes. So you've mentioned some of the pressure on the Giant side. When I look at the Schalke side, no like traditional front line to speak of. We saw a great example of how they can use their pick style. But in a straight up 5v5, I don't know if I like them not having a lot of tanks. Devour comes out, that's Jactroll already dead. Never got to flash, never got to ignite. Might be trading Memento's life, he's got 400 HP. Flash, Bramble, smash. Gilius looking for another. Minitroupax gets the kill. Jiizuke's Time Winder won't slow anybody down, nor will a deadly flourish. All right, shot 1 goes wide, so does 2 of the curtain call. 3 tags up Troupax, number 4 does not. So far, it's a 1-for-1, but the Dragon was stopped. By the way, while that was going on, Ruin 1v1 Smittyj.
That was even a surprise to the rest of the Giants lineup. They didn't see that coming, but everybody applauding Ruin up in the top side. And we said the way you shut down a Cho'Gath, you have to gank him early, gank him often. He got 1 gank in the early game at level 1, which he survived walking out of without even flashing. And suddenly Ruin has feasted his way up to being very strong, so much so that Smittyj cannot actually deal with him in the lane. Jactroll had the unfortunate task of holding off all 3 members of Schalke for long enough, but it was enough time to buy Jiizuke's entrance into the fight. Then Gilius is able to flash forward into the queue. The damage came down. Jiizuke wasn't needed at that point, but it forced Schalke to be on the retreat. Smittyj, no mana left on this exchange, lands the Pulverize in the warded brush. And from there, Flash feast into the fight.
Word. We jump back out. Giants have got a 2,000 gold lead. While we were in a replay, they got themselves Tower First Blood. Gilius, though, is taken down. Schalke have not given up. It's now 1,500 gold that separates the teams. Mountain Drake was also picked up by Giants. So the Giants squad now has a very large lead. But they managed to overstep. Didn't see the build-up for them. They lost Gilius' life.
Yeah, Ruin had to TP down, but he had already pushed out the top lane. So at that point, it's not too bad for him. He's going to stick around in the bottom lane. Feast is available, but no Flash would mean it would be difficult to get to Upset, as Upset has his Flash available. But at this point, this is where the game is going to start opening up. Jiizuke is going to go to another lane. He's on the way towards his Lich Bane, that second item on Ekko that allows him to punish people very hard off the phase dive and powered auto attack. Gives him the ability to push towers down as well. Plus his ultimate keeps him very safe. That's the basis of what Giants are going to play around.
Is this the turning point for Smittyj? Is this where his shitty day starts? After having such a fantastic series, to see the Cho'Gath in what could be the deciding game. I mean, Ruin has played it once before. It was a victory. This could be the second one in the splits.
The problem is Smittyj on this Jayce hasn't got the same freedom that he did in the first game. There's even a Thornmail fully completed. That Bramble Vest was purchased first by Ruin in the laning phase. This time pays off heavily. He's ahead. Thornmail is a much better item to complete early on Cho'Gath than most other champions because you generally have that high health pool to work from thanks to the Feast. Yeah, at 21 minutes in the game, thanks to Feast.
My word, and where are the tank killers? Jhin runs out of bullets.
Yeah,
that's the problem. All right, let's see what Caedrel can do because Ruin currently does not have a lot of MR. So that's one saving grace. It will take a very long time for Caedrel to burn through him. 2 item spikes being picked up for several members in the game. Keep an eye on that as we see the power growing, but it's Giants. They made the play. They got the dragon, they got the towers, and they're in control of game 5.
Heavily in control at this point now. Ruin, there is one slight silver lining to Schalke that isn't really one. He has achieved all of the stacks he can from monsters and minions. Every further stack now must come from champions or epic monsters, so only those big, high-priority targets will make Ruin even stronger when it comes to his Feast, but he's still only at 2 items, so he's got items to go before he is at full strength.
Schalke get their first tower of the game. It evens the gold out. Still incredibly close. And Schalke, as they are behind in this game, what are their next steps for the following 5 to 8 minutes?
Don't let Jiizuke or Ruin kill anyone. Is step 1 on that. You can see Upset recalling out because he doesn't want to take a trade against Jiizuke. He's on his own, cannot afford to be that far pushed up. If by some miraculous turn of events Schalke were able to hold mid lane, that would be great, but look how low it is. There's no way of holding that tower, and it means Giants will now advance their 1-3-1 setup through Schalke's territory. Schalke have to play on the defensive end of this game now.
All right, let's see how well Giants push their vision. They've got all the outer towers down. Wild Baron is up. They need to find themselves a target.
Here.
Okay, look at the damage. Burst of trade back and forth, in fact. One barrage to the face for a phase dive. Gilius decided not to engage on Caedrel.
There is, of course, that Righteous Glory completed on Ruin. He can get into the fights quite quickly himself. But I believe he was just spotted on Dragon. Either that or the ping came through just blind onto Ruin. So Schalke have some sense of knowledge of where he is. Giants actually taking the foot off the gas at this point. They don't feel safe. I guess they were just ending up buying. Minitroupax had a lot of gold at that point. Now recalls out.
And man, the tension just continues to escalate. But it feels very much like Giants are in control. If anybody has just joined us, this is the 5th game, the deciding game between Schalke and Giants. The winner goes to EUCS. And they've traded blow for blow, they've traded game for game, style for style. And now we need to see whether or not Giants can pull it out. The Flay into Death Sentence catches Norskeren. Box thrown down as well. This will be the 4th kill. It's secured by Jactroll. And Giants in a 5v4, what do they want to do?
That
Look at
opens
Ruin on the side lane, flash away, or rather flash engage. Ruin's Rupture goes sideways. Feral's Scream gets a silence onto Memento. Curtain Call is used. Now Giants forced to back away. Big damage from the burst. The Cataclysm catches Giants, but it's Gilius that gets the kill onto Memento. Caedrel and Upset trying their best, but Jiizuke goes huge. Chrono breaks back to the top lane, completely losing Schalke, and Giants get 2. There is a trade back as the Missile Barrage takes 1 down.
It's only Smittyj and Caedrel that remain. They have a lot of poke damage if Giants were to start the Baron here. Look, Minitroupax is just...
Oh, he's flashed away. Caedrel gets him. Now Ruin's in trouble. You don't need a tank killer if there's no one to deal damage. Norskeren arrives. Parallel
Jiizuke.
Convergence. Gonna try slow down Caedrel. Jiizuke's got no ultimate. The Shock Blast falls ever so slightly short. And Schalke, man, they take a blow to the face, but give an uppercut right back.
But look, Schalke in this situation, this is very reminiscent of our earlier games where they just start the Baron from this and they are moving around in the pit. They have started it out here. This is going to be a very slow one. Remember, Gilius, this time when this happened, basically got a steal the last moments of a Baron attempt from Schalke. Here comes Ruin.
All right, Rupture gets 2. Ruin doesn't want to take on a 1v3. Silence comes up. Feast is available to him. Memento's the target for Jiizuke as the fight is split onto 2 fronts. Right, Baron was interrupted. 6 kills apiece. But Giants accelerate their gold lead. It's plus 3,000 at 25 minutes, and now it's Giants threatening Baron.
Yeah, Jiizuke stopped the recalls there because he doesn't want Schalke to get the health back so they can actually contest the Baron. He's just going to kill Norskeren unless Upset can actually... Yeah, he gets there in time.
Yeah, the Devour is so helpful. Chrono Break buys some time. Baron's still being focused by Giants. How low is it? Jiizuke is down. He's got no teleports, no Chrono
Memento
Break.
goes in!
Baron secured by Giants, but how many people can keep it? Jactroll's running for his life. Minitroupax is down. The rest of Giants are being killed. Support staff for Schalke, veteran, clapping his hands as 4 of 5 members are taken down. And it is still a gold lead for Giants, but they got the Baron.
Gilius managed to get out
well
with
spotted.
Jactroll, so they actually have 2 members, but none of them are the TP users. Schalke can get a lot of gold back off this passage of play here, takes down the mid towers, and look to push with Smittyj on the side lane. It's not a complete backfire out of Giants because they maintain 2 cents of the Baron, but really Schalke fighting hard to come back in this series. You mentioned that the winner goes to LCS. It's basically a best of 1 now between these 2 teams. Neither of them want to have to play in tomorrow's matchup against either Mysterious Monkeys or NIP, depending on who wins that. That is the last chance to make LCS. And this is how Schalke were able to stay in it. Jiizuke, a little bit aggressive. We've seen this on his Ekko in the series last week against NIP. Giants were in full control. He went overly aggressive. This time, didn't read that Upset was coming from the side, despite a ward being there. And Upset able to just handle Jiizuke, who didn't get a whole lot of health back from that ultimate. And then Schalke push up towards the Baron. They have the numbers advantage. Memento goes in, and despite not getting the Baron off the steal, they clean up the majority of the Giants lineup and look to try and salvage something in this game.
Man, I completely missed Gilius getting pulled out the pit. But how important will those 2 Baron buffs be? It's only a 1,500 gold difference. You can see the damage dealt in that fight. Smittyj and Caedrel taking off. 28 minutes is on the clock. 15 kills, and Cloud Drake is alive. Giants have already got themselves 1 Cloud Drake and 1 Mountain Drake, and they are fighting for their way back. They just need to figure out how to regain control. Maybe the Baron will help them.
Gilius will breathe a sigh of relief that getting dragged out of the pit wasn't the big factor in that fight. Minitroupax is able to secure it for him. Very touch-and-go moment, though, for Giants.
Jiizuke's not here. He's running from mid lane, so Dragon is now secured. Curtain Call is used. Nature's Cross spreading across. Giants have got 1. That's a double for Minitroupax. They managed to get the Dragon. Jiizuke's going to look for something on the back end. Jactroll's looking for Smittyj. Smittyj gets dropped down. That's a triple kill for Minitroupax. Ruin gets the 4th of the game. And it's only Upset remaining. Giants now in a 5-on-1.
45 seconds remain on Caedrel and Smittyj's death timers, and that means Giants with a Baron buff will go through the middle lane, I don't think Upset has enough to clear this. This is at a minimum the inhibitor going down, but these are still long death timers.
Oh, Giants, they pushed for the win in the previous game, but without 4 members in the mid lane, this is about as much damage to the base as is possible. Jactroll and Minitroupax, they take down the bottom inner turret. Upset starts firing, deadly flourish. Memento has respawned, there's supers in the mid lane. Jactroll pulls in support from Jiizuke. And now all of a sudden, Giants onto the inhibitor. 8 seconds for Caedrel. They will get themselves a second inhibitor before 30 minutes, and Giants are a nexus away from rejoining the LCS.
One team fight away from rejoining the LCS as well, and Schalke have tried to hold on against Giants for as long as possible, but Giants have been too strong using some of these comfort picks that have come out. The Ekko has been good for Jiizuke, opening up the map. Giants are even applauding between themselves. They know that if they play this out carefully, the game is already won. Giants fight over the Cloud Drake at this point. There's a lot of damage that comes out from Upset and the rest of Schalke, but look at the damage that Ruin outputs. Minitroupax basically untouched on the backside. Smittyj has not been able to find his footing in this game like he did on Jayce earlier on in this series. They just haven't had the team fight picks to come through, and Minitroupax, we've talked so much about him coming into this series, shows up big time in that team fight with the damage. That should put Giants into the LCS.
Schalke committed to that fight, and it backfired. 5 games ago, we talked about the win-loss records of both of these teams. The only blemish for Giants in the regular season was Schalke. They lost 2-0. And holy cow, what a way to get revenge for that matchup.
Oh, he just killed Upset.
Jiizuke just completely runs down Upset. Huge smiles on his face. The Giants players are elated. They can taste victory. They can taste the EU.
In the regular split as well as in this series, Galio is gone. There's the one expectation of it taken away from Jiizuke. Where's the LeBlanc? Will it be taken away by Giants? If they do, that means Kalista would be available.
Oh, Kalista instead. Okay, now LeBlanc is a champion that you kind of can blind pick, but with how well Memento played in the previous game, and actually, I'm going to go further. With how well Memento's played the early games this series, I like the Jarvan lock-in once again.
I agree. I also think a second rotation LeBlanc is a potential pick here. Thresh, Xayah have been picked in by Giants. If you were to go LeBlanc here, it forces Giants to pick up their mid lane and actually give away the jungle matchup, because otherwise you just ban all the good matchups versus LeBlanc in phase 2.
I mean, we could see a very similar team comp to Game 4 for the rest. Instead, gonna switch over to that Corki. What will Jiizuke run into it? I mean, that's both solo laners locked in now.
This is basically Game 1 draft coming through. A little bit adjusted here with the Corki in the Jayce being drafted earlier on here. So what this does is this gives one solo lane matchup to Schalke's favor, because it means Giants now have to pick one and they'll get the other banned out. Now there is an other option. If they just pick whatever like jungle for themselves, they could have looked to make 2 matchups good in their favor, but that Ekko is a matchup we have seen Jiizuke run a whole bunch of times, and now he's playing up against the Corki.
What do you think of it into the Corki? I mean, he's 3-1 on the champion this summer. It has been kind of a pick. I think that he's run into Syndra, if I remember correctly.
He ran it into Syndra, he ran it into Orianna, and a Victor as well in the regular
split. So like control mages. Corki's not that.
Not typically that, but also a scaling. Now, I like it because Jiizuke personally is a good Ekko. I don't think the matchup favors Ekko. I think the laning phase will be difficult, and Ekko will pick up more from the opposite side of the map, where he's going to want to try and use the teleport to split push a little bit, and then try and create that side lane presence that we know Ekko can have.
All right, so let's see whether or not Jiizuke, how bullied he gets, and whether or not Memento will continue to camp that mid lane. He did exceptionally well in the previous game. Caitlyn and Cogmore, the bans from Giants. Gragas on the other side.
There goes the Poppy as well. So Giants still will counterpick top lane likely. Jungle, Maokai if they want it. If Gilius, the Gragas has been what they've tended towards, and I think is more likely. It is banned, so it won't be picked up here. Maokai is one of the options. The Sejuani once or twice has come out from a couple of the teams, but
Gonna stick with what he's played this series, I guess. And locks in that Maokai. So 80 carry for upset and support for Norskeren. I love the bait. I love the bait. I can see the Schalke players on stage. And Norskeren's actually looked over to Giants and given them a little bit of a wink. Everybody's having a good laugh here as the last game in this upper bracket match of the promotion tournament. Winner goes to LCS and upset will lock in that Jhin.
Jhin for lane presence, plus that long-range team fighting. If Gilius can find his way onto Jhin, there's not a whole lot of options.
First time this series, and while we're getting set up for the interview, we're just going to keep wrapping up just a little bit of the Giants split.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic split all the way through. Wind and Rain in the playoffs couldn't hold against Giants, 3-0. Then NIP. Remember, NIP had beaten Fnatic like 2 weeks before. Couldn't hold back Giants. It's a little bit underselling Giants again. But look, Giants looked so strong.
Exactly. It's one of those things where it's like, hey, at almost every opponent, you kind of expect Giants to play maybe a little closer.
Yeah.
And maybe that is because the majority of the players on that roster are not super well known. You know, Minitroupax kind of popped up fairly recently to take the stage and definitely helped carry a few games.
Yeah, absolutely. Ruin's been around Challenger for quite a while, but hasn't had this big success come through. And then Jiizuke. Very strong performances throughout all of the games that we've seen from him, and brings out the Ekko in the last game, looks very, very good.
Yes, fantastic performance. He's actually the player of the series. So huge props to Jiizuke for showing up in this final best of 5. A very emotional player. You know, he was yelling and screaming. When he got that solo kill onto Upset just a few minutes ago, phenomenal. And just really, really good performance all day long.
Yeah, great. The Galio, the full AP Galio that we saw come out. There was a moment, touch and go at the end, where Jiizuke had ulted back to base accidentally after trying to kill Upset, and then Ruin ran onto the fountain, and I'm like, no, 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 you were so close to winning this. But they end up getting it. Jiizuke got there for the final part of the game, and his Ekko was instrumental. It created so much pressure in that game.
It's just so exciting seeing Challenger squad show up individually, as a team as well, playing the map, etc. So anyways, the summer split long road for Giants has led us right here on the stage in Berlin. Welcome back to the EU LCS. Let's head to Medic, who's standing by with the carry.
Thank you very much. I am joined by Minitroupax. An incredible performance by you today, man, and by the Giants as a team. How does it feel to be part of the LCS?
I mean, today I can say I finally feel happy. I said last time when we faced NIP that I was glad, but I wasn't happy. Job wasn't done. Today, job is done, so it feels really great.
It must be so great to finish the job today as well and not have to play in the series tomorrow. How do you think the Schalke members are feeling going into tomorrow now?
I mean, probably it was a really rough series for them. Whoever loses, will get really mad about it. It was a best of 5, so we reached game 5. But I still think, even though today they lost, I think they will also qualify this year. It will be like the Misfits Academy and the Fnatic Academy, and both teams will probably make it.
I think that's a general consensus amongst a lot of people at the moment. Giants as a team this split have shown us some incredibly clean play, and it's play that we don't tend to see at the Challenger Series level. What is it about you as a team and as a squad that's allowed you to play so well?
I guess it's because no one believed on us. Like, everyone was like, who are these players? They came out of nowhere. We only know Gilius, the guy who actually got Schalke demoted and stuff like that. But actually, together, we play quite good, you know? So we just played our best. We feed on people doubting us. We feed on people laughing at us. And look at us now.
Well, you've played incredibly well, as have the entirety of the team. Final question, coming into the next split, coming into the LCS, do you think that you as a team have a chance to face off against like Fnatic and G2 and Misfits and Splice?
I mean, so far in Challenger Series, I always thought we had the best carry synergy between me and Jiizuke. Coming into the LCS won't be coming like that. I think other teams have stronger mid laners and AD carries like G2 or Fnatic, but I think we got a pretty good roster, and if we go evolving like that and just developing more skills and more comps and getting more confident, we might even reach playoffs, who knows.
Well, congratulations again, man. Incredible job. Well done as a team. Congratulations to Giants, of course, as well. We're going to hand it over to the analyst desk to lead us into our second best of 5 of the day.
Before we get there, Medic, I think we have to give some praise to Giants, as you were already doing. A little bit. They just earned their spot in the LCS. And I got to say, I love what QuickShot was talking about at the end there, the players or the coach crying, like the team really coming together. I think a lot of players you know, we've talked to a lot of pro players, and they talk about that moment, right? And sometimes it's just one challenge and it's on to the next one. Okay, now we're on to LCS. Now it's on to the next thing. But seeing players stop and appreciate that moment when you qualify for LCS, like the pinnacle of European League of Legends, right? I think it's nice to see someone celebrate and just enjoy that moment.
Oh, this is why we love promotion tournaments so much, and why I think it's such a large part of European esports as well, because you have so many individually good players who can just make it onto these teams and challengers and qualify to the LCS, because not only did these guys show up, you know, on that individual level, but then the teamwork, the coordination, everything they've been working for up until this moment, they just managed to succeed. Like, that's like the greatest feeling ever. So I love seeing this. With Giants, you have this massive staff around them. You have these players where you heard the interview from Minitroupax, they're kind of unknown, a lot of them. And then they come in and they show up like this in the promotion tournament after a great split in Challenger, and they actually make it into LCS. Like, it's just a lot of hard work paying off. And there was probably a lot of nerves going into this one specific tournament, because like it's the one moment where you have to shine. If you fail the 2 weeks of promotion tournament, it almost feels like all you did was for nothing. But now they managed to win and make it all the way in.
And I feel like it's such a fantastic redemption story, not only for these players, but for the Giants organization. Because when they were last in LCS, we were critical because it was every day, it was the team losing, the team struggling, and it was Lozark alone backstage. And now you see he's still helping the team out, but the staff has improved, like they increased immensely. There are so many people back there supporting this team, and the Giants organization is clearly committed and invested even more despite, you know, dropping out of the LCS. And once again, I think we have to praise the organization for doing that, because it's fantastic to see, and the fact that it pays off for them is just so sweet.
I also really love the decision they made to say, let's reset the roster, let's rebuild the roster, and then not just pick the biggest names out there, but instead say, okay, who actually has shown something as an up-and-coming player? Which players seem to have some synergy maybe before the roster's even built? And then actually they create this team where a lot of the guys are playing better than some of the veterans we see around the challenger scene who's been in the LCS before. No, these guys are actually beating them. Also a guy like Ruin, who's been around challenger for like 2 years now. The fact that he finally finds a team where it actually works for him and he makes it into the LCS, it's also a great story in itself, because he's not a very outspoken player. Not a lot of people will have followed him.
And the thing is when a player is willing to pick Poppy and pretty much concede laning phase every time to help his team get a win, I think that's kind of the player that you have to respect.
And then he gets Cho'Gath, and he actually carries as well.
And he technically also has to concede to the laning phase, but then he gets 3 armor items, and Jayce only has a Blade of the Rune King, and not only is he the tankiest character in the game, he also does probably more damage than everyone else on the team. So a good way to end, I think,
pretty good
for
way to end. Yeah, pretty good way. So I'm really excited to see this Giants team. I really hope they stick together with this lineup here and all the people they have around, because I think we see a lot of guys here who could actually make quite a splash in the EU LCS, and getting some new names, some new talent in is something that we're always looking forward to in the EU LCS. So I'm very excited for this Giants lineup, and I just really want to see these guys in the LCS.
See what they can do in spring, but for now, some much-deserved rest, I think it's safe to say, after a very grueling tournament. Schalke, however, are not quite so lucky. As we take a chance to look at the bracket, you can see tomorrow will be the ultimate do-or-die for Schalke. Their opponent still remains unknown, as NIP and Mysterious Monkeys have yet to play, but that will be played just after this, and we'll see who will face them tomorrow.
And while Schalke right now, they will feel horrible. They just lost the best out of 5 in Game 5. I think they should look towards the game tomorrow and really feel confident. Already we saw Giants 3-1 NIP. We saw Schalke already beat Mysterious Monkeys. Yes, in a close series, but they did beat them. Going into the game tomorrow, they should be favorites. And if they can perform like they did today and like they did last week, I think they will still make the LCS.
Yeah, well, it's good to have one team already locked in. Giants, they're ready for the big leagues, but Ninjas in Pajamas and Mysterious Monkeys are still fighting to stay there. To do that, they have to win tonight. It's do or die in our second series, so stay with us. We'll be right back.
Game 5, journey to the LCS. One